It's To On the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, reviews of Gutenberg the Musical, Titanic, King of the Jews, and we take a trip to Leslie's Loft. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On the Aisle. And here we are again.
Here we are, Leslie's Loft. I can't wait.
Yes.
Where do we start?
Where do we start? We start with Gutenberg the Musical. Mm-hmm. And this, for those of you, and apparently there are quite a few of you, who have, since the Book of Mormon opened, longed for a musical that reunited Josh Gad and Andrew Reynolds. Well, here it is. In fact, that's all there is, because they are the only two actors in this show. It's them. It's the whole night. It's just as you like them. These.
Well, there are 8,000 hats besides.
Well, yes. Well, okay. So they play these two writers, or would-be writers, of musical theater. I think they actually work in a nursing home during the day. But they have taken
as writers do, yes.
Their savings, their inheritance, any money that they've managed to get their hands on to, for one night, rent a Broadway theater in the hopes of finding a producer for their show, Gutenberg the Musical. Which, by the way,
I had your exact, whatever it is you just thought out there now, that's how I felt about going to a play called Gutenberg the Musical.
And so they present it, and we see scenes from there. They play all the characters. We see scenes from Gutenberg, and they wear these caps with the name of the character that they're playing. It's kind of shades of Hal Prince.
One is called
for the original Merrily We Roll Along.
One of them is called Anti-Semite.
Yes, they have to be politically correct, so they're doing anti-Semitism. Okay, that's their, which, given the events in Israel, is definitely an appropriate.
Yes, right. Au courant, if nothing else.
Yes. To do, not that they really do much of it.
And as Charlie says, I mean, if you like these guys, you'll like this show.
Yes.
I didn't want to see it. I honestly had, please don't make me go to see this. It's just going to be, and it wasn't. It was a lot of fun for 90 minutes. Unfortunately, it was 2 hours long. I really enjoyed the beginning. They broke the fourth wall. They talked to the audience. They involved people. Somebody actually answered back at one point. Only once, I think, but and they kind of did a double take, and then they sort of played along with it. But they're really consummate performers. They really are. And the music is, I mean, Gutenberg. I'm making that up, but it's just like
well,
that.
did you have any interest in the Gutenberg story?
Other than what I used to teach myself, no.
Well, you probably know more about Gutenberg than these two characters do.
And I used to know what year it was, and that was that. And I would always do that accompanied by...
Did you have any interest in the two authors?
No, absolutely not. No.
All right.
Who are, by the way, their names are...
Bud and Doug.
Yes.
Are the characters.
Yes.
Yes. And this is written by Scott Brown, Anthony King, directed by Alex Timbers.
Yes, whom we really like.
Okay. But the problem with this show is that it is a one-trick pony. Okay. One trick, two ponies. And these ponies do the trick extremely well. I mean, you will not get a better, Josh and Andrew than, well, Josh and Andrew. And, they're wonderful together. The chemistry is just perfect. But it's a long show for only one trick.
This director did that Oh Hello show, too, with John Mulaney and Nick Kroll, also playing characters that they have made famous. The set was basically just the things they needed.
Right.
They pull something from here and they'd pull something from there. And so it was
remember,
minimal.
they're doing this on a budget. They spent all their money on the theater, so they've got a couple of musicians. They couldn't afford to hire actors. Etc. Now, I understand that one evening Nathan Lane showed up as Max Bialystock.
God, Doug, this show is fantastic. I had the same feeling when I saw Cats. I don't need to hear another note, please. No more notes. I don't know if you can tell by my hat, but I'm a famous Broadway producer.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've heard of me. The name is Bialystok, Max Bialystok. Yes, your dreams are gonna come true. You've got your show. Congratulations. Oh, I'll see you all in Sardi's.
Oh, and I wish I had been there that night.
Did you want to invest?
I don't know if investing in a show by Max Bialystok is a good idea.
Okay,
I mean,
right.
this is the producers.
Right.
But bottom line is, it's fun, but it wears thin.
Well, as I say, if they cut it to 90 minutes, they don't need to tell us the background of every single character coming in. It's funny, but it takes up time. You know, and then when they get to the real story, I mean, the story is that there's a devil who doesn't want there to be a printing press, because the devil can tell you what he wants you to think. He can say that the Bible says whatever he wants it to say, because nobody can read. If everybody can read, then he will be lost. That's the small little thing that they did. But you know, as I say, if it were 30 minutes shorter, I would have liked it at least 1 point more.
Okay. I will give this 3 playbills.
Then I'd give it 2.25. But a great effort, I will say that. And they're such cute guys, too.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. You know, look, guys, we love you.
Yes.
But
Yes, let's not do Gutenberg again, please.
okay.
I mean, find something else.
Now let's
Find
go
something
to the opposite extreme.
Well,
this
we're
is
gonna go
a
to-
small, I don't know if intimate musical is the proper term
Yes.
for it. We're going to something that is big, and we're talking Titanic.
It's a combination of British theaters and American movie houses showing filmed versions of big Broadway musicals, even if they're in the West End. They're mostly Broadway musicals. Some of them are British musicals, and they do regular shows as well. Titanic is a very interesting choice. They did this in Southwark, which is it's a borough right outside of London proper, and they got these great, fabulous reviews, and they deserve them.
It's a new interpretation of it.
The song that that opened the show before, that was sung by the architect of the ship, is now sung by Ismay, who is now the villain and is the owner.
He was always the villain.
Pardon?
He was always the villain.
Well, okay,
the
okay.
owner, the owner of the company.
It's more Yeston's music and lyrics. I didn't care for it when I saw it the first time. I didn't think it was an appropriate subject matter for a musical, which I always feel is not serious as much.
I have tried to resign myself that any subject, if in the right hands, can be made into a musical.
And we saw Parade, and I felt
Yeah.
that Parade was also an opera. I felt it was an opera.
Okay.
I felt that it would have given more status to what it was talking about than to be a musical. And in this case, it's you know everybody died, or everybody didn't die. There were about 775 survivors.
Right. I think about 1,500 people
Yes,
died.
minimally, yes.
Sadly. And
Including the captain who refused to get into a lifeboat and went down with the ship.
Right, and even perhaps more sad. Sadly, there weren't enough light bulbs.
But there was.
And to add insult to injury, apparently there were 400 seats that were unfilled. The first act of the show is a little frivolous. The book is by Peter Stone, by the way, who wrote 1776. So he had some experience with musicals that you know the ending to, and. It's a little frivolous. You see the first class people, then you see like the second class people. There's one woman who's in second class and she really wants to be in first class. There's the third class. You know, you have a romance there, not unlike what we saw in the movie, but very different. There is actually a woman of money, of culture, and the maitre d' says, "Oh, I haven't seen you at the dinners." He says, "Yes, I'm with my husband," and the actual truth is she is in second class and she doesn't want anyone to know about it. She's escaping from her family, and it's all well and good. And then you get to the second act where the ship starts to sink. And that is when the show comes into its own. That's when the drama begins. That's when the show really comes alive. It's an ensemble cast. To me, the real standout was Barnaby Hughes. He was the maitre d'. He has this one beautiful scene where he's serving the Strausses. They were the founders of Macy's. They are now an elderly couple, very well played by Valda Avix and let's see, David DeLeve. They could have left the ship. They said, you know what, we're elderly, we've had our lives, we're staying.
Thinking that they were giving their seats to two other people, when in actuality, you know, it was a...
They could have been in there.
Course.
And in one of the most potent scenes of the play, Hughes, as the maitre d', serves them some wine. And he's known them, they've been on many voyages, they have a relationship. And they say...
I think it's a very fine champagne, but it doesn't matter.
And they say, will you please join us? And he says, I'm sorry, I have other people to serve, you know, ship's going down.
It was very much a class thing. It's it happened in 1900.
But how they maintained it. And listening to Maury Aston's score, first I have to say it is far from his best score. You know, it's not anywhere near the level of, say, Nine or Grand Hotel. But even a second-class Aston, it kind of reminds me what a Broadway score.
Well, we've had Maury Aston on the show.
You
know, he's and this was quite an effort. I mean, you know, and some of the songs truly are wonderful.
Yes, they are. One of my favorites is there's a member, one of the crew, in the third class, he's sending a telegraph message, and he's singing his love song to his girlfriend, and the telegraph operator is, you know, just marveling over this technology. This is a very cinematic production. It is a stage show.
It's redirected.
It doesn't look like a stage show.
It's redirected for the cameras. There are 7 of them.
So it is directed for the cameras. So it is a very cinematic presentation, and certainly something worth seeing. I mean, obviously you can never recapture a live show on film. Yeah. But this is, whether it's a combined genre, it's a separate, I don't know, but it works.
It only had 2 showings in New York. I don't know if it's going to go on TV. I don't know what's going to happen with it.
I'm sure it'll go on one of the
but
streaming
Charlie and
services.
I saw it on a link, and we saw it on our TVs, and I was quite happy seeing it on that. Yeah, right.
I mean, it's... I think if I would rate it, I would say 3.5 playbills would be about right.
I would say about that. Yeah, I think so. It did not have an intermission. The film itself did not have an intermission. I'm assuming that that's how they're going to show it. Because you can sit through Lawrence of Arabia, but that's 3 hours, and you do need an intermission. This is only 2 hours, so it's been cut. I think it was closer to 3 hours originally.
You know, one of the things I remembered watching this production, there are certain things I remembered and a lot I didn't. It's been a long time.
Oh yeah, I like this better. I do know I like this better. I think the point of view, which is a memory play, you know all these people are dead, you know they all died, which makes it that much sadder when you see what their relationships are.
Right.
And
well, it doesn't establish that as strongly as I would have liked to. I mean, you know, you have these vignettes, not sub-vignettes, really. We really never form a relationship with the characters because there's just, it's so spread around. And in case you're wondering, Molly Brown is not, I think, I sort of remember that she made a cameo appearance in the original production.
Possible,
but
yeah.
You know what, she's got her own musical, so they really don't need to feature her here.
Yeah, we did her musical already, so we can move on then.
Yes, we are moving on to King of the Jews. And over the last year, I have to say, we've seen a lot of anti-Semitic related plays dealing with it. We saw the revival of Parade. We saw a very...
Plays about anti-Semitism.
Right.
Anti-Semitic plays is something else.
All right, okay, fine.
I knew that.
Plays about anti-Semitism,
yes,
okay. We saw a wonderful one-woman show about this woman who had been to 3 concentration camps and survived. And
still is alive and dancing.
Yeah, still is alive. And now we have King of the Jews.
Based on a book by Leslie Epstein, and he wrote his own play.
Right, wrote his own play.
Based on two chapters from
And this is at the Here Theatre, directed by Alexandra Aaron. We come in and we're in this cabaret. No, not that one. In in Poland. Poland has been taken over, the town has been taken over by the Nazis, and the Nazi liaison comes in to a bunch of random Jews and says, how'd you like to run the place for us?
Well, yeah, that's an oversimplification, I think. These people have an they're very full of themselves, these people who
they become very full of themselves.
Well, but they start out that way also. I am the so-and-so, I am the butcher, that makes me so-and-so. And the fact that they're sitting and they're well-dressed in the city.
Not all of them.
And they're there for a dinner. It's their once-a-month dinner that they have. I think they're the town council. I know we have a different opinion about what they are, but okay. They were there automatically anyway, and this liaison played wonderfully by Daniel Oreskes comes in, and he has this offer, and it's as if he's in a bottle of extra virgin olive oil, only it's not virgin. He is so dirty and nasty, but he does it with such a smile. I think you could, I bet you would be wonderful running this for us, and then think of all the things that you could have if you did this. And they don't know what they're being asked to do.
Right.
They don't trust him.
They get a hint of what they should expect when the first guy who volunteers for the job as being the leader of the council is taken out, stripped of his clothing, and shot. But for various reasons, partially because they think, well, maybe we can act as a buffer, partially for selfish reasons, partially because deep down, they probably know they have no choice. They accept it. And at first, it's going very well. We see them a little later, and they are having top hats and tails and celebrating how wonderful they've done. And then ultimately, they realize that they are doing the Nazis' dirty work for them.
Well, the dirty work...
They are the useful idiots.
The dirty work consists of they're asked... The initial thing is they're asked to bring 100 people from...
No, that comes later. Initially, they're asked to round everybody up, give them the names.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You're right.
And these people are rounded out from their homes for their own protection.
And they're allowed
into the
take,
ghetto.
They're allowed to take just one bag with them, and they have to share rooms. Right.
I had a friend of mine with me, seasoned theater goer, son of Holocaust survivors. He left after the first act. He just couldn't take it. This is a very harrowing, very intense experience. You're really going to be knocked flat with this.
As I was trying to say before, the thing that got me was the obvious. I mean, this is a catch-22 situation. And the book itself, I remember the book when it came out. The book has a kind of a catch-22 feel to it. There's a lot of humor in it. It's bleak, dark humor, but it's humor. And there's none of that in this. This is just straight down the middle. And what they have to do after they've set the town up, after they've done everything, after they've done this, the request comes for 100 Jewish people to be packed up and sent somewhere else to do work. They're not told, but I think the Jews by that point had some, they had sense of what was when you were taken away from where you were supposed to be.
There is one character, a boy, who they are initially hiding, and somehow they manage to keep him alive. He says, I know what this is. This is where I was running. So they ultimately know what they're going to be getting in, where they are sending these people, and they attempt to bargain them down, and they succeed. And then he says, okay, fine, it'll be 10 today. And then a minute later, he comes back and, we're going to need another 100 tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right. They feel that they've done this wonderful job. And by the way, the star of this, the head of the council, the president of the council, is Richard Topol, who's a wonderful character actor. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get him on as an interview, but we're certainly trying. And he was in Indecent. He was the stage manager in Indecent. You've seen him on television 100 times. Just perfect in this because he wants to be apart from this, and he is able to get the woman that he wants to be with him, and he just abdicates. He literally abdicates, but everybody else doesn't want to do it either. So it becomes again. I think of Masada.
Okay.
Because at the end, to me, we have a difference of opinion about what happens there, but to me, they all take poison pills and die. Right. Because they can't do this anymore. This is not what they want their life to be.
They certainly mean to kill themselves. Whether I think what they took was poison or not, that's another story. We can, you saw one thing, I saw another. It doesn't matter. This was a superb evening.
It was.
In view of what is happening in Israel, I am so glad that we are seeing these plays. Believe me, no one could have timed it.
I know. I don't
You know,
think
because today people have choices, and we have quite a few people who are choosing to be useful idiots today, and it's sad.
Yeah,
but we
well.
have so many other people who realize what is going on, and they choose not to, and they believe, yes, never again. We see it trying to happen. We're not going to let it, and
Well.
hopefully these...
So what would you give this?
I would give this a solid 4.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. I think that the writer and the director got their points across, and they
Yes.
did it in a very effective way.
And I was surprised at how effective
Yes,
it
and
was.
how moving it is. Even though we know what it's about, it's still moving.
Right.
And that's that's like the Titanic too. Was it moving? No, it didn't move me at all. But I liked it. All right. Anyway,
So we're going to go. Sometimes Leslie and I just can't see all the shows. So one of us will go to one of us will go to a couple of others, and we call this, when it's Leslie, we call it Leslie's Loft. And
Yes,
we're gonna-
Charlie's Corner.
Yes.
Look, but the thing is, I'm going to have to talk really fast. So shush.
Okay.
Okay.
Go.
I was invited to see Melissa Etheridge. Unfortunately, I don't really know her music. Turns out she wrote 2 songs I really love. One of them is I'm the Only One. That's a really powerful song. And she also has a song called Come to My Window, which is a Come Hither song. And then she tells the story of her life. And it's sort of like a Bruce Springsteen kind of thing. Her director is someone named Amy Tinkham. I don't know that, but her wife, Linda Wallem Etheridge, wrote it. Linda Wallem is a television producer.
Co-wrote it.
Written by Melissa Etheridge with Linda Wallem Etheridge, and it's basically her whole life story, and there's too much life in it.
But it was 1988 now, and I had my first record deal. Was going to go out on my first tour, so I got a brand new guitar, and I finally had a real roadie. Yeah, it was time, to hit the road. I could not wait. I was ready to, go out on my first tour. We may not know how or when, but don't you wanna know why? And this time, in my aloneness, I realized I wasn't alone. I had connected with my inner being, the inner me that always loves me, always is thinking the best of me. The song will never end. Here I am again.
Because what happens is she goes back to when she was 6, and she takes us beyond. Well, her life when she was 6 is interesting that she got a guitar, but that could be said in a sentence and shown in a photograph. It's a 2-hour show with an intermission. I'm assuming that they sell merch during the intermission. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that's what happens. And the thing is, it's fine. I like the music. I didn't recognize it, so I was learning new music. But the problem is that.
So if you're a Melissa fan, see it. If not,
Well, no, I think, yes, you're probably right about that. But then the second half becomes this sort of very intense therapy session. She lost her son to drugs. She was involved with several different women, and that got. So anyway, if you know the music, go see it. That's basically it.
Okay.
I would give it a 3.
Okay.
I wouldn't give it any more than that.
Moving
Then I went
on.
down to New York Theatre Workshop, where they have this incredibly and charming, but I have no idea what it's about really, play called Marry Me. It takes place on an army base, and it's based on it's probably the Greek army because it's Agamemnon. It also has some restoration comedy in here, some other things in here. The point is that this person here runs around to all of the women on the base. This person gets all the women, and that's because they're told that his penis is broken, which they're basing on Jack Horner. He actually mentions Jack Horner in the play. So anyway, it was vitality. It worked well. It was a little tiny bit long.
and how many playbills?
Well, I would give it 3 playbills, but I would give this particular character, Esco Julet. is someone I think we want to keep our eye on. I think this is going to be a really, I think they are an extraordinary actor and personage. How does that? A
And finally,
personage.
you have 45 seconds.
Very quickly, Telling Tales Out of School by Wesley Brown, directed by Woody King Jr., about 3 women from the Harlem Renaissance whom we don't know enough about. Zora Neale Hurston, we know about Jessie Fawcett and Nella Larson. Nella Larson's story about a woman passing became the movie that Rebecca Hall directed last year. And Nancy Cunard, the only surviving member of the Cunard family,
Which was that's the family that owned the rival
right.
cruise line company to Titanic.
Wrote a book, an anthology called The Negro, and gave the women a spot.
And your conclusion, how many playbills?
My conclusion would be 3.5, but I really want to see a movie based on these women. I think that their story is amazing. I thank Wesley Brown for finding it, for gathering the material on them. I really think that this is a vital
All right.
issue.
And that is our show for this evening. When you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too.
On the aisle.
Okay.